True legacy isn't the money we leave behind, it's how we were and how people experienced us, because that subtly or dramatically changes them. And that subtle or dramatic change in them is then passed on to people they encounter. And so that legacy that we think, say, for example, one comment, if that changed the people in that room in some way, that gets passed on for generations.
Right.
Yeah, it could be 1,000 years' time, someone has learned from your comment. That is legacy.
Welcome, everybody. It's time once again for the next chapter with Charlie Hedges, as he explores turning the page on his life and yours.
Hi, all, and welcome to the next chapter with Charlie. This is amazing. My special guest today, Ash Perrow, and I will release together my 400th podcast episode. That's amazing. When I began this project, I had no idea where it would lead, only that I felt called to speak, reflect, and explore what is mattering most to me on that particular day. Now, as I did a little bit of research, I did, my AI research. I chat GPT'd it. And although I use a couple of other AIs as well, very few podcasts ever reach 400 episodes. As a matter of fact, the AI reported to me that fewer than 1% of all podcasts reach 400 episodes. But the real milestone isn't the number of shows. It's about what we're doing today. It's about the conversations, the growth, and the community that we form along the way. And at this time, I really want to thank you, the listeners, for participating and thinking along with me I just did the math. I'm not sure what date we began, but it's like 8 years that we've been doing this show. And thank you. And those who've listened from the beginning, you're glorious in my heart. But this show is for you. Thank you. Now, as I mentioned earlier, my guest today is Ash Perrow, an advocate of living and working from listening to the guidance of the heart. In this show, we're going to discuss the relationship between the head and the heart. What are the differences? I mean, those are common talk in this economy today. We talk about head and heart, but Ash is really what I would consider an expert. And Ash, oh, by the way, I've got to say my introduction is going longer. There's Ash. You can see him on the show. For those who are watching, we'll give him a wave, Ash, and I'll come back to Ash in a sec. But Ash was on the show 1 year ago on February 26th, 2025. Now, today is the 18th of February when I publish the show. When it goes live, the coincidence is it's going to be on February 26th, 2026. So exactly 1 year later, I want to welcome back Ash Perrow to the next chapter with Charlie. Ash, welcome, my friend.
An honor to be here with you again.
I know, and you get to be number 400.
Wow. And acknowledging you for 400 episodes is extraordinary.
It kind of is, but when you're doing one at a time, you don't notice.
Mhm.
You don't notice. So you tell me, we did our last show, and our last show was because you live, as you said. I said, what do you want to talk about? And you said, I want to talk about the heart. I don't talk about anything else. That's all I want to talk about. I looked at our last show. It was about the heart. And I recommend going a year back and listening to that show, because that's why Ash is on twice and he'll be on again, is because he's brilliant. So tell me, I like what you talked about, and that you talked about working from the heart. Last time we talked about living from the heart. In our previous conversation we had earlier this week, you mentioned to me about working from the heart. I got a question about that. And then I have a question about driven by the head and driven by the heart. So I'm going to let you just kind of dive into it, and then I'm going to have questions for you.
Okay. Well, why don't we start with working from the heart? Yeah. And for me, I picture working from the heart is leading from the heart. So at some point, we I call this stages of heart-led leadership, right? So
Okay.
we might be going along in a way in life, and then we realize the way we're going isn't working for us, and then we need to have some sort of pivot, some sort of shift to go, okay, what is true for me, and how can I live in a way that's true for me? When we do that, we come into self-leadership, right? And in self-leadership, we're learning to lead ourselves in a way that's aligned to our truth and how the way that we can operate in the world and feel like we're ourselves, that we're enjoying life. Yeah. And so that's the self-leadership. And then what happens is people see those qualities of self-leadership. So over time we get the hang of being ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and leading
Mm-hmm.
ourselves and doing that well. And then people see that, and it's like we start to resonate. So it's a bit like a tuning fork. Hit the tuning fork and it's vibrating. People see that we're in the world in a certain way, and they might say, oh, how did you do that? How did you go through X and come out here at Y? And people start coming to you because you're vibrating in a certain way, like putting it out in the world in a certain way. And it's not that you're pushing it, it's just that you've done this self-leadership and you've connected to yourself and you're able to operate in the world from a place that's very aligned to who you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there's self-leadership. I call that emerging leadership, where it's just starting and it starts to resonate. And then what happens is we might make a decision. Okay, I see people are calling me to lead them, and my heart is calling me to do that work of helping other people with whatever it is that I've been through and my experiences and the way I see the world.
Right.
And so we make a choice. And so for us, with the work that we do, at some point, I'll take my own coaching, for example. Went through a lot of difficulties in life, like post-traumatic stress and depression and relationship breakups and PTSD and mental health clinics, and on the edge of
Oh,
suicide.
all of those were you experienced all of that.
Yes, so for almost 10 years, life was very hard, very hard. Most of the way from 30 from my early 30s to 42. It
Okay.
was it was dark. It was My health was very poor. What had happened was in the early 2000s, my ex-wife and I, we had a stillborn daughter, and
Oh,
you
oh
know,
my God.
heartbreaking, but
I
also
can't
so,
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so beautiful at the same time, right? Like just to hold this perfect little baby, but it was so heartbreaking, and I couldn't comprehend what was happening. It was like my whole world was just falling apart. And there was a moment where my ex-wife was crying and I'm holding this beautiful baby, and it was like she'd just been made for my arms, and it was just heartbreaking. And I was looking at my wife and I thought, I'm not going to let anything bad happen to my family ever again. And I took on the responsibility of everything that had happened leading up to that, which,
Oh
none of
my
it was my
goodness.
fault, but that's
Oh
what my
my
young
goodness.
self did.
Sure.
And over time, that developed into post-traumatic stress. It was like that phrase, I'm not going to let anything bad happen to my family ever again. It got locked into my brain like a glitch.
Right.
And so I wasn't aware of it, but over time, over a period of a few years, I became on high alert. And so I had this story running in the back of my mind that I had to make lots of money to protect my family, that I needed to get us a different house. I needed to be wherever we were, needed to not be it. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was sleeping for 8 or 9 months. I only slept maybe 2 hours a night.
Oh
And
my goodness.
yeah, and before I'd go to work, I was a deputy principal in a school. Before I'd go to work, I'd be vomiting, and I didn't know it was anxiety because I'd never been exposed to that. This is pretty much at the very beginnings of YouTube. Right now, we have endless access to information and well-being and things like that. That didn't exist back then, and all I could do was operate from what I already knew. And so over time, it just got the better of me, and I ended up quitting my job. And within 2 weeks of quitting my job, I ended up in a mental health clinic. I wasn't
Oh,
even able,
really?
yeah, my brain just totally shut down. I wasn't even able to sign my name. So my ex-wife had to sign my name for me to be admitted.
Oh my goodness.
And so from there, because I'd run my body down so much, I had severe adrenal fatigue and the whatever process in my brain, chemicals, it was just deep, dark depression, dark, dark, dark,
Okay.
Um, and so I went through a process for 3 years of being on medication and therapy, and none of it was working.
Right.
Eventually listened to the voice in my head that kept saying, "Go natural, go natural." And I made a decision to stop taking the medications, and I was actually supported by an amazing holistic doctor who combined Western medications with Eastern medications, and also you know medications that people would say back then were dangerous, as in vitamin C IV, and to say that you could help people heal with vitamin C IV and things, whereas now there's a lot more research around that. But she had the medical system trying to shut her down and things like that. But she changed my life, going to her from the
How so? Let's go on that. How so? How did this is so there's a physical component
hmm
that a health component, but what was it? So is it the health component that changed your life, or was it the therapy? What combination of all? Tell me, when you say those are big words, when you say one person changed your life,
hmm
and that sounds to me like almost like a model of what you're trying to do. That she wasn't perhaps the model, but she modeled the type of service you want to do to other people.
mm. I like that take on that, Charlie. She did, and she was doing it her way. Yeah, and so her way was physical health, and she had worked out adrenal fatigue, which you know, Western doctors still haven't worked that out, right? The evidence is all there and how to treat it and everything, but it still hasn't permeated into that system.
Okay.
And she had worked it out, and she down with me and said, "This is what's happening with your hormones. They go through a certain process. At
Mm-hmm.
this process, your adrenals should be firing, and this chemical should be coming into your system. That's not
Mm-hmm.
what's happening." And so she had a very simple protocol and one of those was vitamin C IV. And so I would go into her clinic, and all the people there that were on the vitamin C. So there was loungers, and a bit like when people go through chemo, there was people sitting there, and I was the only one with adrenal fatigue. Everybody else there was there treating cancer. They all had cancer, and over time, some of them would pass away, or I'd see some get better, or some get sicker, and it really taught me gratitude. But her way of approaching health was different to the way most doctors were approaching health. So for me, I went, actually, it was right to trust that inner voice that was saying, "Go natural, go natural." Hmm?
Okay, you just mentioned something for the first time that I think is critical, and that is the inner voice. Um, I'm gonna make a shift from your doctor, but
Mm-hmm.
it works with your doctor, but she is your work with her has led me to this thinking. We today in the United States, businesses, so we're talking about managing your business, driving your business from guidance from your heart. But we'd say, do you know how many people will go on AI to help write a business plan? And a business plan has all of these strategies and tactics and things you need to execute. But I don't know I've ever read a business plan that says listen to your gut. Listen to your heart. What does that have to say? How do you work with people? Do you combine those to say there is a place for a business plan? There are actions that we need to do, but the driver of the action is the heart. What is the integration of these two? How does that work? A head-driven strategy to a heart-driven passion, perhaps, or I'm not sure.
So the heart has the vision. So, for example, some people call it intuition, some people call it guidance or God or whatever it might be. There's something in us that
Right,
goes, go this way, go this
right,
way. This is your
right.
path, go this way. Yeah. So I call that the guidance of the heart. Yeah. And the guidance of the heart is patient, all-knowing, loving, generous, kind. So there's a different element to it. The mind, that's its key role is survival and assisting us to fulfill the wishes of the heart. Right? So one part of the mind is looking out for
Oh,
threat.
really? I've never heard that, Ash.
Yeah.
It's one of its key roles is to assist with the what of the heart, the passions of the heart,
The guidance of the heart. So the
the
heart,
guidance of the
which
heart.
it
Yes,
could be
okay.
business, it could be going on a holiday, it could be finding a partner, it could be developing financial independence, right? There could be this. So we're all angels in some way. So
Okay.
that doctor, she was an angel to me. Our conversation today, you're an angel to me in some way.
God bless you. Thank you.
You do beautiful work and you care about people and you help people, right? This is angel-like qualities.
I'm going to keep you coming back on the show. We need to have every 6 months, not every year,
Mhm.
just to
Yeah.
remind me. Thank you.
Yes, well, I need reminders too. Yeah. And the we have this guidance. We have an internal system saying, go this way, go this way. And generally, it doesn't stop telling us these things. The mind, because its roles are assisting and protecting, it can be alert for very sensitive to dangers. Yeah.
Sort of the
Yeah.
reptilian brain, is that
Yes. Yes. And it's activated when it perceives us having vulnerability or courage. So then it goes
okay?
into protection mode. Oh, you just activated courage. Do I need to protect my human? Oh, you just did something that was out of your comfort zone and you felt vulnerable. Okay, I need to protect my human. Yeah. So what it does is it does the inner critic kind of thing. So that means it will try and protect you by questioning what you're doing, making you feel small, perfectionism, procrastination, self-judgment, questioning your self-worth. That's your primal reptilian brain going, I have to protect my human. If my human dies out, that hurts the tribe. If the tribe hurts out, and that's happening all over the world, humanity dies out.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So there is a role for the left brain, the head centered. You're saying there's a role there, and I
Yes.
like that. But I'm so with you in the use of the heart. I am. Do you do much work with the Myers-Briggs um, personality inventory?
I have done in the past, and
Yeah.
I'm a little bit familiar with that, but also other different ways of looking at that.
Yeah. I am my letters are INTP, which means introvert, thinker, introvert, intuitive, that I process information intuitively from a big picture. I am looking for the why behind it all, not the it, but the why. Then I thinker, and then P for flaky. I make lists and lose them. I just, I don't, my closet is somewhat neat, but I'm not real anal about that. But there was something interesting is I did quite a bit of studying the Myers-Briggs, and I was with the Myers-Briggs people. So it wasn't just reading. I was in training courses I did a very in-depth training course for a week. And my type, and is called an intuitive thinker, at around, it starts in maturing age, starts around 50 to 60. It makes a switch from intuitive thinker to intuitive feeler. Now, I took this course in my 30s. So, I just remembered this, but I'll be doggone if in my 60s I am now much more of a feeler than a thinker. I really am that's why I align with you so much, is that it is the heart. It is the visions of the heart. You talk about vacations, for instance. How does the head decide on where to make a good vacation? It can get the right prices, it can get the right plane flights, it can do all of that sort of thing. It can protect me and it can guide me there, but it doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy myself. And the only way I enjoy myself is if I listen to my heart, and listen to my passions. What is driving me? I'm also very much into hemispheric brain thought, left and right brain thinking. I'm I used to be a very strong left brain thinker. I'm now, with the feelings, a very right brain thinker. How does all that fit into your model?
So the mind is the tool for fulfilling on the heart's guidance. Yeah. So
that is a brilliant. You're making these brilliant one-liners, bro. So you're gonna have to explain that, because I want our audience to really catch it. Because the mind is the tool for fulfilling the heart's goal. And I'm so stuck on the word passion, because that's my word. That's a word that
let's use the
resonates
word
with me so
passion.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll use the word passion for what the heart is calling you to, right?
Yes.
Whatever that might be. It might be calling you to paint or make music or build a community or whatever it is. Yeah, have a family, or sell up and go from a sea change to a tree change, or a tree change to a sea change, or a mountain change, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So talk to me. How do they work together?
So the heart is calling you. So for example, I'll use you, Charlie, right? Heart is calling you, say, Charlie, do this, do this, do this.
Okay.
And then it might be out of your comfort zone. And so then the mind comes in trying to protect you, because it felt either your vulnerability or your courage, and it must protect the tribe at all costs, right? It's not actually about you, it's protecting the tribe. But then there's this other aspect of the mind that you can access that gets on with the task. You have your to-do list, and it prioritizes, it helps you find the information, it helps you analyze the information, it helps you make a plan, helps you execute on the plan. Yeah. But we're always doing this juggle between that aspect of the mind, the protection part of the mind, and then the calling of the heart. So ideally, what we want to do is be connected to the heart, be connected to the mind as a tool for doing the heart's work, the passion.
Yes.
Yeah. And also fully accepting the protection parts of our brain. Because if we reject those parts that are trying to protect us, we're rejecting part of our human self. And then that creates separation, that creates low self-worth, that creates the procrastination. So it has a huge impact if we're not accepting all three parts of that.
So the three parts, once again,
The
What are the
heart,
three parts? The heart?
the mind as a tool, the mind as a protector.
Oh, I like that you're big on protection because I think that is where is it? It's Maslow's number two on Maslow's hierarchy of need, isn't it? Isn't it the second one? The first one is just food and shelter and clothing, and the next one is
Hmm.
safety and protection,
Yeah.
and so it's our it's that we can't move on without it. I mean, we
Yes.
can't get to self-actualization, or as I found out, his latest that he has another last one, which is transcendence. I didn't even know
Hmm.
that. I just heard about that.
Yeah.
But if you can't get past stage two, you're not going to get to self-actualization and
Yeah.
transcendence.
Yes. And so when I was going through my PTSD,
Hmm.
the protection part of my brain was running my life.
Right.
And it wasn't allowing me to see the beauty in life, how safe I was, how loved I was, my skill sets. It was just pushing me into the ground, trying to make me small. And it was just trying to protect me. But it was having the opposite effect because it was having a distorted role in my life.
So how do you negotiate that? How did you manage that once you realized what part of your brain, or what did you use to understand that this is overdoing its role,
Mm.
that this role is it's overcompensating for the needs that I have?
Well, basically, it broke me. It just broke me so hard that I wasn't able to even sign my name. And that getting to that point of realizing I needed help, and also in that process, one of the most powerful things is self-compassion. So, for example, I went into protection mode and I was doing this and I was staying up late and I was neglecting my relationship and I was tired with my daughter. Can I have self-compassion for myself? Yeah, can I have self-compassion in that realization? Because otherwise what happens is self-judgment comes on top and it pushes me down even more. So the remedy to self-judgment is self-compassion. So when I'm present, deeply present with the heart, what comes forward is self-compassion because that's the nature of the heart.
That's beautiful. Remedy of self-judgment is self-compassion, and that
Mm.
is, and we live in the world of self-judgment and have such a hard time with self-compassion, and yet, so, you know, one of the early, well, 2,500 years ago, Jesus talked about that. Talked about, that loving the self and caring for the self. It's love your neighbor as yourself. Well, unless you have compassion for yourself, it's difficult to have compassion for other people.
Mm. Yeah. Yes. And the self-compassion creates true presence. Mm. And so when we're truly present, we're connected to the heart, to the protection aspect of the mind, as well as the mind as a tool. We can be present to all those things. It's like our awareness expands and we can be present with everything that's coming and going.
Talk to me about being present. This is, I think, when we're by ourselves, it's easier to deal with being present by ourselves, and that's to eliminate the distractions, to focus on what is going on, to focus on our hearts, our visions, our decisions of where we want to go. But I think about, what about when I'm with other people? What kind of presence? I've thought about this of late, Ash, and I've thought about, what kind of presence do I want to be with other people? And the natural drive is to put a spotlight on the self. And I think the drive that I'm talking about is to put the spotlight on everybody else and to be an observer, to be a commentator, to observe and to observe with kindness. I mean, to observe in such a way that it's obvious that my presence is there, but my presence is one of calm observance of other people, not trying to make known my value or my worth because that's important. And does that make any sense? What I just said? You got a puzzling look on your face. I don't know if I.
So when we're truly present, we're not attached to being calm. We're not attached to our state. When we're truly present, we're observing, as you said, we're observing, I'm really calm with this person right now. I feel really calm. Yeah. And it's just being present with that. I'm not trying to change the calm. There could be somebody that say I'm driving and somebody almost hits me and I hit the horn and I'm present with that adrenaline that hits. And the more I'm present with the adrenaline that just hit me, and there might be anger, which of course is protection. When I'm present with that, it passes very quickly. And then I come back to true nature, true self. Yeah. Which for some of us, there's different levels of calm, which is our true nature, right? Like some people are just naturally high vibrant, high joy. There's others that are, we operate still in those spaces, but it's more contained, right? Naturally. And so the presence with what is here, that allows it to pass through. So, I had this adrenaline hit because of someone nearly ran into me in the car. Okay. I'm not judging that. I'm not judging that I had a reaction and pressed the horn or maybe gave them the bird or shouted at them or swore. I'm not judging that. I just go, okay. Well, of course I would do that. I'm a human being. I just went into protection mode. Oh, okay. And then instead of getting caught up in the story that I'm not good or that I reacted in a certain way, which then creates self-judgment. What does self-judgment do? Squashes us. Yeah. Prevents us from being present. Right? Can limit our actions. Wake up in the morning because I'm experiencing severe self-judgment. I don't feel like doing that today. Is that along the lines of where we're going?
Yeah, that's exactly along the line. Do you think, or do you see, is there a role for not anticipating, but sort of making a decision? Two questions come to mind. One is a better question than the second is a better question than the first. The first question is, what kind of person do I want to be known as when I'm with other people? So that's a good question. That in the presence of other people in a group, what kind of impression do I want to leave? So there's nothing wrong with that question, but the better question is, what is more aligned with my core personality? What is more authentic? What is the me? Like you said, some people are naturally, they're going to be the center of attention when they walk in a room. My son is an introvert. He can spend tons of time by himself, just, thinking and doing whatnot, but he's the leader of a baseball team, of an American professional baseball team. He's the leader of the team. I'm telling you, Ash, when he walks into a room, he is a presence. He's not, he deals with big men. So he deals with, men that are, several of them are 6'2" to 6'5", 6'6". He's 6'1", 220. But when he walks into a room or when he comes into a room, you just know that Austin just walked in the room. I mean, he doesn't have to say a word. There is a perception of this as a force. And then when he talks, you want to listen to him more. So he becomes the center of attention, and he doesn't shy away from that. He will live in that, and then he will walk away. And then it just seems like, he's the friendliest, the most gregarious. We want to be with Austin. You drive away with him, he doesn't talk. He just sits in the car. He's done. I've just had my presence. So there is a presence of who do you want to be in the presence of others. A better question is, who is the more authentic you in the presence of others that you can help people?
And that's something to feel, not something to work out with the mind.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
So something around authenticity. Truly being authentic is being present with whatever is here, right? In our emotional state or what's happening around us. That's being authentic. If we have a picture in our head of what authentic is, and we reach for that, we're reaching for that, not being present. We're trying to be something, and therefore we will act in a certain way. We'll suppress feelings, we'll amplify feelings and thoughts, because we're trying to get to what we have created in our mind is the picture of authenticity.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so when it comes from the heart, what does it look like? What are we doing?
So Austin, when he walks into a room, people are feeling his authenticity in his presence. I am here. I am with you. This is what I have to say. This is what I have to share. And people feel that. That's a
Yeah,
feeling.
and it's contagious.
Mm-hmm.
They feel it because it's contagious. They want it. They want to hear more. It's amazing. His whole life. I'm observing him lately, and watching how he is. And he controls a group without controlling. He doesn't try to control the group just by being there. He's in charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's his energy of presence, of authenticity. And then to me, it makes sense. It can be taxing sometimes, especially if we're introverted. Yeah, it can be taxing to lead. So he's leading from his heart. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, I was with you all now, and I led. And I call this natural leadership, right? We were talking about the stages of leadership before, yeah? Natural leadership. Austin is embodying natural leadership in that moment. And natural leadership is present, it's authentic, it's aware of whatever is
Yeah, it's
happening.
very real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes back into self-leadership, where he goes, okay, I've just led everybody in the room, or in the game. Now I'm just coming back to myself, because being able to lead others requires self-leadership too.
Is that where he gets the strength and the wherewithal to lead other people? Is by self-leadership? Is that he is good at self-leadership and he understands himself? Understanding himself will therefore give him freedom to be that with other people. He doesn't have to try to be anybody else because he has accepted who he is. And he will often say, I don't care what they think. I really, he doesn't do anything to offend anybody. But if somebody doesn't like him, he just says, oh, well, that's just, now if there's something I can do, that I've done something to hurt somebody or to do something wrong, then, he'll do something about that. But if it's just, they don't like his style, oh, nothing I can do about it. This is kind of it. I don't care. It's like what I said before the show. We were talking, I said the great Trent Reznor's line from, Nine Inch Nails, from the song Piggy. Nothing can stop me now because I don't care anymore. If you don't care what people think, to the degree that we can care too much what people think, and we can start moderating our behavior or modeling our behavior after what they are thinking, then it's not from the heart, is it? It's from that safety protection. I'm trying to protect is that not a protection thing? I'm trying to
Yeah.
protect my
Yeah.
identity. And
Yes.
if that's covered, if I don't, I'm protected because I'm very comfortable with who I am. I don't need protection from you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's the power of the heart. Right? When we're living from the heart, that's its power. Because it knows. And it knows that you're a divine, perfect being already. And so that's when it's guiding you. It's telling you, go this way, lead this way, be this way, live this way, love this way. It's not attached to identity and what people think. That's the protection system of the mind that's attached that way.
This is beautiful. You're so tell me, guide me this way. Now, you do coaching. You coach people in leading from the heart. Do you not? Is that
Mm-hmm.
what you and your wife do through the Pure Impact Academy, PIA?
Yes, yes.
That you use that, and I want to talk more about PIA. But tell me, what is the process? If I were a client, now that we were together for an hour last year and now 40 minutes this year, what kind of process would you take me through to ensure or to grow my authentic self-leadership?
Hmm. If we were to have a one-on-one session, the session starts, well, what's on your mind? What's here right now? Presence. Yeah. Because presence is the doorway to the heart. Yeah. And so what we do is we start with, well, what's here? What's been happening in your life lately that is on your mind, and how is life trying to teach you? Yeah. The answers are in the heart. So a lot of my sessions, what we're doing is actually going into presence with the heart, and it's guiding clients into being with their heart because they already know so much. You talked about a to-do list. They already have to-do lists of how to grow their business. They already have social media strategies. They all have these things. They're not doing it either because it's not aligned to their heart or the mind is getting in the way. So when we be present with the heart, what happens is the heart becomes the guide that it already is, but we're more connected to the guidance of the heart. And so what that does is it makes everything else easier when we're connected to the heart. Oh, I have to go speak in front of 1,000 people? Okay. My mind will be freaking out. Okay. I'm going to be present with my mind freaking out, have self-compassion, love my mind for trying to protect me, love my humanness, actually say to my mind, you know what? We're going to go do this presentation and you're coming with me. The mind loves that. The mind loves not being rejected. So when we embrace that part of us that it's trying to protect us and say, you're going to come on stage with me and I'm going to take care of you. We're going to do this together.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's beautiful. So that's interesting what you would say about coaching. You begin with presence. I had a discussion last night with a handful of people we were at an event and we were sitting at a small table and we had dined and we were just chatting and we got on spiritual direction. And this is spiritual direction, Christian spiritual direction. I just wanted to give the context
Mm-hmm.
of it. One of the people is learning to be a spiritual director, and so has been attending courses, and they have all of these Ash rules and regulations of how you be a spiritual director. And I'm thinking, I've done spiritual direction. I mean, I'm not a spiritual director. I don't want to be. Um, my wife would love me to be one, but I don't. I just have no desire. But I've been in spiritual direction, and right now I'm in spiritual direction with the abbot of an abbey of a Benedictine monastery. And I said, our situations are different. It's more like, they walk in and they say they have these lofty goals of spiritual, we're going to deal with your spiritual life. And I said, my spiritual direction is different than that. This abbot, and my abbot happens to do spiritual direction at a seminary. So all the seminarians that are graduating to be priests go to him for spiritual direction. So this guy knows something about spiritual direction. I mean, he knows something about the rules. And I said, that's funny. When I go and see Abbot Damien, we just start off, we're just BSing, just a couple of guys, it's just, so how you been? What's going on? What's happening here? And so it's just talking. And then it merges always into an issue. And I love what you just give me a brilliant insight. And that is whatever is going on in me at this moment is merely a snapshot of what's going on with me lifetime. It's just, it's a portrayal. It's an example of something we can talk about, but it's something that it's not a brand new thought. It's not a brand new feeling. It's not from neither head nor heart. It's not, but then we go on and we have these brilliant sessions, but the group, especially the person who's taking the classes, was just appalled. Well, that's just not the way you do spiritual direction. Well, that's funny. You're telling a 60-year-old Benedictine abbot who that's his main job. Every Tuesday, he spends all day directing seminarians. I think he knows something of spiritual direction. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, presence is the gateway. It is the gateway. And we're taught to be distracted. We're taught to try and fix everything. But with the presence first, things become much, much clearer. The mind settles, right? When it's not in protection mode, the mind as a tool comes in, sees the synchronicities, sees the next steps. Your inner world is clear because of your presence with your heart, and you're not actually working through blocks. They have dissipated because of your presence.
I like that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that self-compassion is one of the things that does that. And so for those people leading from the heart, yes, we help them with strategies and next steps, but the key piece, everything comes from alignment with the heart first, connection to true presence. From there, okay, I thought I had all these problems, but I realize now is I just need to do this, which is be myself, be authentic, whatever version of anxious, angry, sad, happy, ecstatic, whatever version of that I'm experiencing right now, I can still engage with the work of the heart. I can still go and do my business plan. I can still go and do my social media posts or send out my newsletter or make my podcast. Right. Yeah. So, okay. We're coming from a much less effortful place, which makes everything more sustainable, which impacts all of our work, all of our relationships.
That is beautiful. That is so well put. So why don't we, what I'd like to hear about before we finish the show for sure is more about PIA, more about your Pure Impact Academy. Mm-hmm. And that is sort of the driver of the ashperrow.com business model here is PIA?
My role here on earth is to live from my heart. That's it. Yeah. And by doing that step after step after step, guidance, my heart's guidance or outer guidance, whatever we want to, the divine or God or, the universe has told me this is what I'm here to do right now, in this moment.
That's perfect. Right now, not here to what I'm trying to do big picture, but what am I here to do right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is the process I need to do right now?
And so my guidance said, I want you to help those heart-driven people. I want you to help them create their ripples in the world. That was the exact words. I want you to help them create their ripples in the world. When I had my near-death experience in 2016,
Yeah, we talked about that
yeah,
last year, yeah.
I left my body. What was I? Ripples. That was my experience. I became ripples. Yeah. And so since we last talked, my guidance has said to me, I want you to help others create their ripples.
That's a nice way to put it, Ash, because it's that we're creating ripples, we're not creating sea change. So we're not trying to change everything all at once. We're trying to just do itsy bitsy moments of awareness and of understanding and of, some sort of impact in the world that is just a ripple. I can think of, I was in a book study and I made one comment. I mean, I made a couple. I try not to talk a lot in these book studies because there's, it's Zoom and there's 16 people and a lot of people with a lot of things to say. So I want to give them freedom to say it. But it's funny. I just made one simple comment and it became the topic of our conversation. Of the whole group went there. They went in an opposite way that I intended, but I didn't correct. No, that's not what I was thinking. I just felt the energy of the group and felt the ripple, as you would say. I felt the ripple and said, nope, don't stop this ripple. It's too important. It's the movement. And this was my purpose in the group today, is to create this one little ripple. I like that. That's a brilliant observation.
True legacy isn't the money we leave behind, it's how we were and how people experienced us, because that subtly or dramatically changes them. And that subtle or dramatic change in them is then passed on to people they encounter. And so that legacy that we think, say, for example, one comment, if that changed the people in that room in some way, that gets passed on for generations.
Right.
Yeah. It could be 1,000 years' time, someone has learned from your comment. That is legacy.
Oh my goodness, it's funny you would say that because one of my goals, there's a few things I want to leave a legacy as, but one of them is kindness. And kindness, I've never used the word ripple. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change the name of the podcast and we'll come up together after the show with what the title needs to be in ripples. I want to use ripples. Ripples is too cool. But that creating a legacy of kindness is a ripple effect. And that when I die, if I have been kind and other people have received kindness, they have embraced it, grown from it, learned from it, they will then be kind to other people, who then that experience will be, so it's a ripple. They then will be kind to other people. And the beauty of this, Ash, is that no one will know that Charlie Hedges had anything to do with it. So my legacy, when people think of kindness, they will not think of me. When they think of examples, perhaps it would be nice if they thought of, Charlie was an example, but I don't care. That's just, that's my Trent Reznor thing. I don't care. It's not about me. It's about kindness. And so that is my legacy. It's an example exactly of what you just said. It's a legacy of ripples of kindness.
Beautiful, Charlie. Yeah. And I imagine you're quite present right now as you say that.
Hey, it's about time, bro.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
We could go on. So everybody needs to know. You want to find out more about Ash. It's very difficult to find him. It's at ashperrow.com. That's it. I mean, and it's PERROW. It's in the show notes. It's in the link. I mean, I don't do detailed show notes, but I have links, and so it's on the link so people can click on you. Any other way you want people to get a hold of you?
if they Google my name, they'll find whatever they need. Yeah. And for me, what I do is I create pathways, not sales funnels. It's pathways, and so people can come onto a path. There's free ones, there's low paid ones, there's more expensive ones, and they just come on the path and they do the work and jump off whenever they're ready. And so it's about human beings. It's like one human being working with another human being. We're not trying to funnel cattle. It's like we're working with humans. So there's pathways. If they Google my name, they'll find some sort of pathway. I'm not sure what they'll see, but there'll be
Well, I want to encourage my listeners for them and for friends, if you want to find out about creating ripples and living from the heart, living off authenticity is an issue of the heart. It's not an issue of anything else. If you want to understand that and much more, you've got to get a hold of Ash. I mean, you will not regret it. And then just, I'm on your email list. Get on his email list. I mean, is it monthly? Does it come out about monthly?
weekly.
Am I on the email list? Did I get them weekly? I don't know that I get them weekly.
Well, they might end up in your spam. It's got a lot harder now for those kind of emails to get through into people's inboxes, especially in the last few months. So
your emails are brilliant. I like them, and I will comment, as you mentioned, I will comment on them every now and then, just because they're so damn good. They're really worthy of your time. Ash Perrow is worthy.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right,
Beautiful
my friend.
to spend time with you again. Just so it's such a gift to me. It truly is. So thank you.
It is to me. It is to me too. Where are you in Australia?
I'm in Sydney.
Oh, so my wife and I are always threatening to visit Australia. So if we visit Sydney, I'll let you know. We can make sure we can all get together. The four of us get together and chat about life, the universe, and everything.
I would love that. I'll take you to some very cool places that not many people know about too, if you like.
I'm sure you will, and I'm sure they would be great. So Ash Perrow, thanks so much, buddy, for spending time with me on the show. It's an honor to have you with me.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also want to thank everybody for tuning in to the next chapter with Charlie. And until next, this is Charlie Hedges signing off. Bye for now.